Hello. You're listening to What the Fuck Do We Know? You know, now on social media, there are a lot of pages. Well, you might not know because you don't use social media as much, but there are a lot of pages with motivational speakers. These group of people who are
This
on
group
my...
of people.
No, you know, they are
not
my...
condescending.
No,
at
they are
all.
my top 10 of immoral people. You know that already.
How
so-
motivational coaches.
Well, yes, and a lot of times, you know, it's they're talking about how to be successful or how to get rich. Usually, oh, sidetrack. I recently saw an ad for not really sidetrack for a motivational speaker, and it was an advert. And in the advert, she was like using a video from one of her seminars, and in the seminar, she was like, you know, who is not the most successful group of people in the world? Smart people. Intelligent people. Most of the smartest and most intelligent people I have met in my life are not successful. They don't have like the success in relationships and wealth and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I found is the most important criteria for success?
What?
Can you guess what she said?
Money?
Are you stupid? What's happening? What's happened to you? What? Oh my God. She said curiosity.
It's not a stupid answer.
What, money?
No, money. I mean, the curiosity is a good.
No,
thing.
yeah, but what was interesting to me is that she, in that sentence, has said that smart and intelligent
Well,
people are not
yes.
curious. What the
Well,
fuck
okay,
is
that was implied. Yeah.
What?
Well, there are different types of curiosity, maybe. I don't know.
Curiosity. I mean, what intelligent people who are like scientists or whatever, they're curious about
I
stuff.
was watching a YouTube video today about pity, which is gonna discuss later today.
Sure.
And this woman, I don't know, she was discussing pity, but then at the end she just needed to give this motivational thing. It's like, so guys, it was about self-pity mostly. Allow yourself to be messy. It's okay. You're doing great. I'm like, bitch, did you see my apartment? Like, you didn't know my life.
No, I don't like these people who just kind of like, because what they do, and I don't care about the content of their speech, honestly, because I think it's quite like banal, honestly. And, but what they do is that their tactic for motivation is gestures and changing the voice. This is what annoys me, is that you go on YouTube and you see people doing the hand thing, and this is an audio medium, so I guess I can't show it, but they gesture a lot. And it's not just like flinging their hands around, it's like really pointed gestures, you know, like to show control. And then they kind of like give their voice a tone, and that is the motivation. And you're saying something very banal, something very, very simple, and you think that you've just got high. And the worst part, when they put the music behind it.
I think I just don't like it. It sounds usually pretentious.
Oh, it is very pretentious. It is. But some people might believe the things that they say, I think.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
They're on your
Helps to
top
sell,
list, not
yeah.
on mine.
Okay. But yeah, where were we? So these motivational speakers always try to give people the way to success. And a lot of times it's hard work. It's about you. You are responsible for your success. You need to be active in getting to this so-called success. And that raises a question of like, really, how much in our life are we actually responsible for? Even in in terms of success and being a successful businessman or being successful in your field, is it all up to you? Or how much does luck actually play in it?
I think it depends on definitions, but technically, I would say that this conversation can be reduced to free will. And I take here, I think, an extreme stance, and I just say that everything is luck. I think it's I don't think it's a controversial opinion.
To say that everything is luck? I think it
People
is
don't say
controversial
it.
because like a lot of people, because the negative side of saying that everything is luck is kind of like saying everything is random. And in terms of like just discussing about something as simple as just as simple, when I say simple, because I mean it's not like a lot of thought, doesn't take a lot of thought, but discussing something as simple as like being a rich person, right? Or being successful in your field, there is a risk of someone not being active, and not being like, not actually putting effort into things that they do because they consider that there is like, it's all up to luck, it's random. I have no say in whatever happens. So it's how do you encourage people to be intentional while still understanding that there is no such thing as free will or determinism?
Well, I think this is...
or there is determinism, sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, determinism can also work with the absence of free will.
Yeah. We'll come to that later.
But I think that's what I like separating. I think that's one thing is to say what is the reality, and another thing is to consider the consequences of accepting that reality. So you might say that, okay, in reality there is no free will, but free will, if everyone stops believing that will lead to some negative consequences, and we actually should pretend that and act as if it exists. But that's a totally different argument.
Are you saying that some people should... Well, are you saying that everybody should know that there is no free will and then pretend like there is free will? Or some people who have found out or figured out there is no free will shouldn't tell the other people?
Oh, I actually heard about someone, and this is ridiculous, because the guy wrote a book about free will.
Yeah.
In that book, he said that, well, basically that free will doesn't exist, but people should believe in it. And he refuses to teach in universities that, like, his ideas, because he doesn't want to propagate this idea. But he wrote a fucking book about it.
Well, he has to pay the rent somehow. But it's an interesting stance, though, like to acknowledge that something exists, but yet live your life as though it doesn't. How do you do that?
I think people are just inclined to believe in it.
No, you, for example, you don't believe in the existence of free will, but do you live your life as though you have like free will?
Well, most of the time, I just don't think about it. I think most of the time, people just don't think about it. That's it. And they just do their stuff. They have habits. Like, conscious thought is not very common, to be honest, like among everyone. So I think it's possible. Like, I don't think we should pretend. I think we should accept it. I think it's possible to live without it. Maybe it's the life will, I don't know, maybe it might interfere with the quality of life a little bit, but I think it's possible. I don't think it's going to destroy the entire society the same way as like people becoming atheistic didn't really destroy our society.
Well, we don't have like a majority of it.
Yeah, but still, like, we see like the society is getting less and less religious in terms of like social norms, in terms of institutes. We are not getting less moral, or at least noticeably less moral.
Well, it
depends on who you ask.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on who you ask. Also, it depends on where. Like, we cannot consider the society globally. Sure, I agree, but the society in different societies, I wouldn't say that it's the same. It depends on who you ask. Definitely, for me, it's not becoming less moral, but for a lot of people, it is becoming.
Oh, it depends on your values. I agree.
Yes. But going back to free will, right, and how much actually it does have effect on your success. For you, for example, you make plans, you study, you want to change your job and stuff, but why do you want to do all these things?
That's a big question. Honestly, I don't think I've kind of finalized my stance on it. But I think the best thing I can give is just, first of all, there are habits. There is just things that you learn to do. Then you also don't really have, you choose alternative, right, out of several options. But I don't think there is a really good reason. Like, you wake up in the morning, why do you have to do something? Why do you have to live? Also, we talked about it earlier, I think. Like, why do you have to live? There is no good reason for that, but also there is no reason for you not to do it, or like to end your life, or not to do something interesting.
Well, in terms of like changing your life in like studying or getting a new job or trying to make more money, there's a good reason not to. It takes effort.
It takes effort, but you also enjoy it. You enjoy the outcome, usually.
Necessarily?
Right?
Not necessarily. Well, you enjoy
You
the
enjoy
outcome,
money.
sure, but you don't enjoy the process to doing
Yeah,
it.
but it's a price you pay, like long term versus short term.
But you can just take some position that you are, which is like maybe not so bad, and not make effort to change it. Like
Yeah.
you.
Like, that's why I'm me,
No, but you want to change it.
because I hate it. Well, I don't hate it. I don't like it, and so I'm avoiding something bad, and that's why I'm changing it. But coming back to luck, I mean, I guess an effort. I think we can separate those. There is still the concept of effort, and I think when we use the problem with saying that everything is luck is just you need to specify what you imply. Like, you can say everything is luck, but you can also acknowledge that the person has put a lot of effort. It's just that the fact that that person is very persistent and like, I don't know, they are capable of putting that effort in. It's also a product of love.
So I guess
luck.
let's go like, where does luck begin from? Like, being born in a particular place is luck.
Yeah, I think everything is honestly luck. I mean, your parents, your genetics, what's the outcome of, like, you are planning something and then like it doesn't end up being the way you intended, and the environment, especially early life. But even
Just a
late
little
life.
thing. This kind of like a little side thing, but because I do agree, I think that like birth is a lottery. We talked a little bit about, and I think it will be in an earlier episode, like before this one. But we talked about quarters and stuff, right?
Okay.
And just to go into education. So if we consider everything from the beginning to be luck, like where you're born, your race, even is luck,
Yes.
right? How or does it make any sense for our society to try to bring this like things to some kind of like equality, like to say like you can have a similar kind of outcome regardless of your luck, in life?
So, is there any sense in mitigating the inequality?
Yes, exactly, that luck has caused.
Well, if your values say so, then yes. I mean, is it possible? That's a question. One, yes. Second question,
Is it
should we do it?
possible?
Is it possible to achieve full equality? No. Is it possible to reduce inequality? Yes.
I think I was reading something about justice maybe like a year ago, and reading about different kinds of justice, and one of them based on needs, and one like and trying to
like equity versus equality?
yes, and but I don't know if equality is achievable in our society just because of like the values of people.
Like equality of outcome or
Equality of outcome.
Well, I would say first it's not achievable, but I think it's also not desirable, because
Why not?
Because the only way you do that is through
But what is
enforcing.
equality of outcome? Equality of outcome is that based on the same conditions, they would have the same result, right?
No, equality of outcome is when you have the same outcomes for everyone,
In the same conditions.
but everyone should have same conditions.
Yes.
So everyone has the same outcomes.
Yeah. So why is that? Why do you think that people are not? I don't think it's achievable, but why do you think?
Well,
that
it's not
people are opposed
desirable
to it?
because the only way to achieve it, like, okay, you have people born with their luck. At any second, every decision involves some element of luck. You have equal environment. Still, someone will end up winning. Still, someone will end up being
No,
smarter.
I get that, but my question is, why do you think it is not desirable?
Because the only way
and
to
by who?
enforce the full equality of outcome is to have a totalitarian society when you don't let people to
Again,
develop.
desirable by whom? A totalitarian
me.
society can be a desirable.
Well,
society.
by me, I don't want a
We
totalitarian
just need
society.
what we would
Most people don't want that.
Well, I think that most people would be fine with totalitarian society if they considered the totalitarian, like the leader of the society, to be good.
How will we make a leader if everyone should be equal? There shouldn't be any hierarchy, should there?
No, well, a leader doesn't mean that person is better, is higher than this person. This person is a servant. It's a service. Person just makes the decisions.
But he has power to make decisions,
He has powers to confirm decisions.
to confirm and to make decisions.
Yeah, but doesn't make him better than other people or higher than.
Oh,
other
it gives him more power.
Yeah, but still not higher than other people.
Okay,
I
I
think
mean,
it
it could
makes him
work, I
unequal.
guess, but
Right, but
it's not feasible.
let's
Let's
go
be
back
honest.
to where we were. I just wanted to ask that. Right, so you were saying luck is involved in every stage of our lives, right?
Yes, and but I think it's compatible with saying that
Do you
someone
think
puts more
it
effort in.
reduces? So you don't think it undermines like people's effort to say that there was luck at play? Because that's what people think it does.
I think okay. So from the internal perspective, I think we can acknowledge that I acknowledge that the luck is everywhere. But then, like internally, I do agree that you need to somehow motivate yourself, right?
Mhm.
And I do think it's okay to take some credit for your effort.
Mhm.
And then the question is, how do you balance between the two? Like acknowledge luck, but at the same time take credit. And I think like it is possible to go too far in both directions.
Well, if how is it possible to go too far in the direction of luck?
Of luck, you just say everything is luck. Like and you
did
don't
say
acknowledge
that.
everything is luck, but but there is also some people do work more for that. It's just that they are capable of working more because of luck, but they actually put more effort and they suffer more.
Yeah, I understand. On an emotional level, I think that my problem with the statement and just a moment, that was a long moment. Okay, my problem with the statement that, like, with every people saying it's not luck, it's hard work, you need to work hard, is that it just doesn't consider that there are a lot of people who are working hard and are just not lucky.
I agree.
I think like because I growing up in a community where there are just so many people, and I saw a lot of people who worked hard and just did not become successful in the way that other people were, because maybe they didn't have education. That's number one. That is a luck. That's luck. You are lucky enough to be born into a family that can afford education, especially many years ago, where not everybody could afford education, and growing up in a country where education is not free, to like any level. So you are lucky enough to be born into a family that can afford education, that allows you to learn a language, that allows you to succeed in a society. And it really like annoys me that people disregard that much work and just say, oh, you didn't work hard enough for this, and that's why you didn't get it. And also, I don't like when people blame other people for their misfortune.
Blame other people, like self
Like, yeah,
pity.
No. What I mean is, it's actually a very difficult question to understand in English because it is correct, but it's difficult to make clear. I don't like when, for example, I blame you for your misfortune.
You do it all the time. For my misfortune?
Yes, that's what I mean. That's why. I said
you
it's
blame me
difficult.
for my
Yes,
okay.
people blame people for their misfortune. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't like when, like, yeah, people do that, and I think that it's ridiculous to not consider circumstances when you
Right.
say.
But
when
there is
thinking
also a way to go too far when you just say, "Oh, I don't know. I don't do any. They don't do anything." But they say that there are people who just got lucky. They got lucky, and you still keep not doing anything. And so that's the way you can go too far in the other direction.
Yeah, but if you just tell people that there's luck everywhere, why should they do anything?
That's a good question. You just train them. People are animals. They can be trained.
Because I think of it, I work hard, I do things, and I know that in many cases I'm not as lucky as many people, but I still do it. But what's the point,
That's a good question. I don't really have an answer. But I have another question
Okay.
about pride. How do you feel about pride? Is it okay to feel proud?
Yeah, gays can do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
What are you talking about? What? About feeling proud of yourself? Is it okay to feel proud?
Yes.
To feel pride? Why not?
Well, first of all, I don't really feel. I don't.
I think the problem is you haven't done anything. to be proud
That's
of.
one reason. Okay. I thought about it.
Okay. First of all, but no, I have felt proud of myself in many cases. There are many, I know my journey, and there is a sense of pride that I have for my ability to be where I am right now, considering everything that has happened before. And it's not me being like, me thinking that I have like total responsibility for where I am right now. And I'm proud of myself because I made it all happen. But I'm proud of myself in terms of like, it's interesting because it really falls into our conversation of free will, of what I chose to do, what I didn't choose to do. But
Okay.
I'm proud of myself for what I have chosen to do so far.
So you do believe in free will
In the presence, or in the absence of free will?
in the present?
No, because we can discuss it like if I really chose it. But that I'm just saying, like in the statement, I'm proud of the decisions that I have made. We can discuss if I could have made any other decisions or whatever.
Okay, yes.
We can have those discussions, but regardless, these are the decisions I've made. So I have to ascribe gratitude to something for those decisions. And as far as I can see, I have made those decisions. So I'm proud of myself for those decisions. I'm proud of myself for little things. I feel like it's kind of a good feeling. It's a good thing
It's
to
a
have.
good feeling for
And
sure.
it's motivating.
Probably, I don't know. But I feel like pride is an intense, quite a strong feeling. And I don't feel proud, but sometimes when I succeed, I feel some kind of excitement.
Excuse me, we've talked about your work before, and you think that
you say I
you
care.
think that
I
you
just
are
think I'm
so
better.
good at your
I
job.
think I'm better, but I don't feel proud.
Yeah.
I don't feel proud.
I think when you brag, you don't know what bragging is from. It's from pride. Okay.
I don't brag.
You brag.
It's a
You
statement
brag,
of fact.
And then you put down
a
other
fact.
people while you're bragging.
I'm not bragging.
Oh, yeah, you do. While you brag, you put down other people and like that person is shit. How do you even work? How do you even have this job? Yeah.
Oh, that was just a surprise. I was expressing confusion. You outed me first of all.
Yeah. People have to know.
But no, really, that
Two
was a
people
statement
have to
of fact. But okay, I do sometimes feel proud, but it lasts like usually like 1-2 hours. Overnight, like I don't feel
like I think
anything.
that it really depends on like your experience, what to be proud of. Like if I have a successful session during work, I'm proud of that session. And that's like a short feeling, you know. But if I think about my life and think about things that I've done and things that I have made for myself and how far I've come, then that's a more intense feeling of pride. But it
Okay.
depends on what. I think it depends for what you're proud of. Yeah.
I want to say something. Okay, I'll say something else.
Thank you.
What it also concerns me. Okay, I remember now. So I think one thing that is kind of always at the back of my mind as we talked about luck.
Yeah.
So I think this is partially, yes, maybe I haven't achieved anything super remarkable.
You have.
Thank you. Now who's been a coach? But also I think there is something at the back of my mind that, yeah, but there is always this element of luck.
Yeah, I think that maybe you don't allow yourself to experience pride because you just don't want to live in a world where you feel responsible for
My life.
achievements. No, for achievements.
For
For
good stuff.
Yeah, for good stuff.
I want to be responsible only for the bad stuff.
No, we're talking about pride.
Right, but I mean, it works both ways. It's kind of double-edged sword.
Responsible for, like, you don't want to be responsible, not because you don't want to be responsible for bad stuff either, but because you have, like, it's embedded in your mind that there is no free will. And taking responsibility for these things can imply feeling that you were actively, making these steps or making these decisions to do this step. And without like different causal agents from other aspects. So maybe that's a reason why you don't allow yourself to feel pride.
I don't think this is the reason, because I don't think this idea of the absence of free will is ingrained in my mind. I think it's not an intuitive idea. Honestly, I'm like, I don't even feel like I actually fully comprehend it. And I don't feel like I've incorporated it fully, like internalized it. So I don't think this is the reason. I don't know. I think I generally don't experience like intense emotions that much. And pride is an intense emotion. So I might be, holding my hand, thank you. But I have another reason why I feel weird about pride. Because
you're weird?
Maybe. We live in a very social world, right? And when do we feel the most proud?
I have no idea.
When we achieve something really complicated and hard, right? But we live in a society, and most of these things are usually related to other people. Because we feel proud when we get a scholarship, not when you just get a scholarship, but when you get a scholarship in a fierce competition. You get
feel
a job.
proud of doing better than other people?
I think that's a very common thing. It's not a not me. I'm not talking about myself.
Sorry, then
I'm not talking about myself. I said we just to be more.
Hold on. Then you must know what pride is, because you do feel like you are smarter than the average. Don't even say.
I think everyone
we've talked
thinks
about
that
this.
they are smarter than an average person.
You think you're smarter than the average person. You think,
yes.
And even not to like go back to your work, but you think you do your work better than, I don't say all, but most of your colleagues. I don't say all because I don't know all of them, but I feel like I can confidently say all. You think you do your work better than all of your colleagues.
I can say most.
Most of your colleagues. Okay. So why don't you know what pride is?
Can't I be the person? Someone has to be better. I mean, I think,
you know what pride is.
I don't.
You do.
I don't feel good about it.
I think maybe it's one of these things that, you don't feel good about it?
I don't.
Why not?
I mean, it just doesn't do anything to me.
So you don't feel bad about it?
I don't feel bad about it.
So you're indifferent. No, you don't feel good about it, Jesus. But I think the reason is because it's one of those things that you have decided that you shouldn't feel. Like many things that you have decided that we've had this conversation before in many other in other settings. This is just one of those things that you have decided that if you do feel it, and I think it's something that has an intellectual kind of it goes on an intellectual level where you might believe, like many of your other feelings, that you refuse to.
Overestimate my intellect.
No, I don't overestimate your intellect. I estimate correctly your need to be intellectual. So this is one of those things that will harm your feeling of intellect. That's it.
No, it's way too complicated.
What's way too complicated? What I just said?
No, way too complicated for me. Like, you have to
feeling of pride.
No, you have to have some kind of conscious statement, like value or whatever, and then you have to somehow internalize it to the extent that you actually start believing in it.
The other explanation is you just don't have enough experience to understand what pride is.
Maybe I just haven't. This is much easier explanations. I just haven't achieved anything remarkable.
No, yeah, that's it. Experience. That's what I mean by experience.
Okay.
You haven't done enough. Yeah.
But don't you agree that many people
of course, they feel pride
because when they compete,
it's compared to other people,
yes. And then why I feel kind of weird about it is that because you get lucky to be better than other people, and now you get to feel better than other people.
Can you imagine a world where people achieve things and they just didn't feel any kind of like, I don't know, they didn't feel any kind of like gladness or joy, or some kind of positive reinforcement that made them do more?
I think pride can be
achieved something.
Based.
If they achieved something, they would just ascribe it to luck. Then there would not be any kind of reinforcement.
It's a problem.
It would be a problem for the society.
But I think pride can also, there is like a healthier version of pride.
Mine. I don't care about other people.
Okay, yeah, yours, whatever.
I don't have colleagues to put down.
Oh, well, you compete, you check other.
I don't check. They're given to me. I don't check them. They are suggested to me online. Yeah, you look how
defensive you became.
No, I don't check them. They are suggested to me online, and I don't see them as competition because
I wasn't even talking about those people.
They're pretty bad in this show.
And now who is condescending?
But I'm not being condescending. I'm being honest.
Oh, now who's being honest? Someone has to be better.
I'm kidding, no. I don't think I'm better than everybody. I just I see.
Just an average.
No, and actually, we've talked about this before. The reason I complain about it is because they are doing like mediocre things, but they're using other things that have nothing to do with what the job is to sell their job, but it's very mediocre. Because I don't understand. We can't get into it now. Okay. But yeah.
The healthier version of...
I like my pride, like the pride I feel for myself is just because of how far I've come.
Yeah.
It's not in relation to anybody else.
I think it's healthier. And I don't know, in sports, for instance, you have these athletes And
They're competing against other people.
they are competing against other people. And like the fiercer the competition, actually, the more luck plays role.
Sure, I agree.
But then like they have so many other things to be proud of, because
Like what?
actually they do work really hard when there is fierce competition just to even get there. But they don't feel usually proud or that much proud about that part. They feel proud once they actually win. So that's the unhealthy. Oh, well, I mean, who am I to say unhealthy? But
Well,
but I would prefer this internal pride.
what?
Maybe no pride at all.
Okay.
I should start an organization. No pride organization.
Oh, there is. Oh, what is this pride for straight people? What is it called? Is it called no pride?
I don't know. No
Like,
pride.
Like straight pride?
Straight
is it
people
called?
shouldn't feel proud.
I don't know. Like, I feel like that makes sense to say like gay people do gay pride, and straight people would be no pride.
No pride.
I want to just Google it honestly because I'm curious. Oh, there's a straight pride flag. Did you know this?
Mm-mm.
It's an alternating. It's the opposite of a rainbow. It's alternating black and white colors.
Okay.
It's amazing.
They,
It's so
I
ugly.
have a thing like because sometimes people have a worldview. Well, what is supposed to be a worldview, but really it's the opposition to another worldview,
Yeah.
and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Let's go back to responsibility and freedom of
Will?
speech. Oh my God, free will. Let's talk about responsibility, moral responsibility.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do we?
What?
Well, do you agree that there is no free will? Let's start with that.
Well, yeah.
And what do you mean by free will? Maybe let's start with that.
Well, yeah, I guess we should start with what is free will. Is free will saying like I am responsible for every decision that I made, and there was no like other causal agents that could have influence? Oh, I've heard a definition that says like without obstruction, right? Every decision or everything that I've done has been done without obstruction or
External
obstruction
agent?
or
interference.
interference. Thank you.
I think
Yeah.
this is compatibilist definition of free will.
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah, it is.
Right. Like the definition I think, okay, I like to use, but I also think this is actually where we have to use definitions that most people consider the most intuitive. What? I agree with you. This is what you
I'm
like
rolling my eyes because you're just talking on and on. Just say the definition. Jesus.
to do. I like making caveats, okay?
Mhm.
Sue me. So that the kind of free will, the kind of control that you have that justifies like blaming you or praising you on the other hand for your actions.
Hold on. Are you
And-
defining free will? Just define free will.
That
first.
was the definition.
Okay, you're defining like how we can get responsibility from
No,
free will.
Free will is having the sort of control over
Okay.
your decisions
Mhm.
that would justify blaming or praising.
Why would
for
you
the
think that
actions.
I would? No, I think that there are different things that we should consider. First, what is free will? And I don't think that you can say, you can define free will as a kind of, what did you say, kind of action?
The kind of control
Over
you
an action
have.
that would
Yes.
justify blaming you, right?
Yes.
No. Why?
Well, that's one of the definitions I like. And then like through
No, but in
this-
that definition, then, if you say there is no free will, then there's no justifiable way I can blame you for an action.
Exactly.
That is not something that would work for me, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't work for you. I'm
but
sorry.
you assume
Find
that-
another definition.
No, you assume that I would agree with that. Why?
I didn't assume you would agree. I said
Oh.
that I like it, and
Okay.
this is the one I like. And I think, okay, I think this is. I did say that most people would kind of agree with this intuition about this definition.
No, but I think that we can have a definition of free will that has like a very kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Very rigid, very rigid definition. Then we have a different discussion. Okay, how do we create a way to assign moral responsibility?
Okay, let me suggest another. Like
Okay.
to criteria first, having the ultimate control over your
Okay.
decisions. Second, being able to make an alternative.
That is an
Decision.
interesting one because being able to make an alternative decision, I think I was watching a lecture, and this might have been 2 years ago, like when we first discussed moral luck, I believe. And there
The
was
history of the discussion.
No, you don't remember when we discussed Marabas.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't?
I do. I don't remember. It was 2 years ago.
It was like 4 years ago, actually, maybe 3 years ago.
So you lied. It's difficult. Acquired taste.
Okay, so about this thing where, like, if you said what you could have, this is the only decision you could have taken, right? If there is, I believe this lecture, there was an example. There was what did you say?
Ultimate control and have an alternative choice. Being able to make an alternative choice.
Being able to make an alternative choice. That's the thing I would say. So this guy in the lecture, he gives an example of 2 doors and you have to choose A or B, right? And you choose A, and B is there, but you could have chosen B to pass, like to go through, but B is locked. So either way, you would still have to choose A to go in. Now you don't know that B is locked. But you chose A to go into the room. So technically, you couldn't have made a different choice.
Yes.
So where do we put that on free will?
Well, I mean, again, I don't think there is any free will, but in the context of your thought experiment, as you call it, as you hate it, but once it comes from you,
I didn't call it a thought experiment.
Well, but it is a thought experiment. But I think here what matters is the intention. Like you have an intention in your mind. You think you can go through one of the doors.
It's an action, right? Is intention free will?
Intention?
Is it a free will action?
Yeah, I think yes.
But you said there's no free will.
Well, I said in the context of your thought experiment.
Okay, got it. Okay. So in the context of this thought experiment, the intention is important and intention is a free will action.
Yeah, like you should focus on the intention, not what happens afterwards. Maybe like you were mistaken about you think action X will lead to action B, but in the fact, it leads to the opposite. And you make a conscious decision to pursue this, but then like the result is totally different. But this is about you not knowing like some kind of information about the external world. It's not about your free will.
Okay. Is free will, how does free will exist with...
It doesn't.
No, listen. So, I mean, the non-existence of free will, does it essentially imply the existence of determinism?
No, because even in determinism, like, I don't want to say it, like quantum mechanics, right?
Why didn't you want to say it?
I don't know shit about it. Okay. But they say there is some kind of indeterminism, probabilistic I don't know, function, whatever, collapses, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But even that's the case, how does that lead us to free will? Okay, your decision, instead of being determined, it becomes probabilistic or random. That's not the kind of free will.
So you're saying that the alternative to determinism, the alternative to determinism is not necessarily free will?
The alternative to determinism is indeterminism.
And indeterminism is not.
And the indeterminism, I mean, there are different
what is indeterminism? The absence of determinism.
Right.
Does that not imply that there was no causal agent, right? There was no precursor?
There was no precursor, but when we talk about free will, we think that we should have ultimate control.
Yes, meaning when we talk about free will, at least when most people talk about free will, they mean that decision was not preceded by their behavior, their temperaments, their genetic structure, their parents, their childhood, their upbringing, their parents' childhood, etc., etc. We can go down the line, right?
But what is also implied that there is some kind of uncaused agent, like a soul. Is the most common model, right?
Yeah.
There is a soul that is not caused by anything else,
right,
and it makes the decision, but it's not exist. It does not. We don't have any evidence of its existence.
Clock it.
So, but with this quantum mechanics, this is totally different. Okay, you have some random event happening, but this is not soul making decision. This is just a random event happening. You roll a die. And what? It's not freedom of will that's in the way that people think about free will.
I agree. But no, I shouldn't agree.
Disagree with me.
Yeah, we should disagree. But no, I don't, because of time, I want us to really go into how do we then find a way to assign moral responsibility, right? And let's talk about moral luck a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. How about
What
you?
is moral luck?
I mean, moral luck when your intentions, like two people, an example, two people.
You know, nobody can see what we're doing with our faces here. So every time you stop to laugh, you're just like laughing for no reason.
Two people
I
have
don't know why
the
you're
same
so
intention.
giggly today.
I don't know. I decided I should put more emotion into our
I
relationship.
don't want it. I do not want it at all. Keep it to
Because
yourself.
I feel like
Keep it to yourself.
once we know each other more, at some point I just started, like, whenever I meet you, I just pretend like I'm alone. I just behave as if I'm alone.
You shouldn't, because I don't want it. I need you to be aware that you're in my place, first of all. You need to be aware of that, so don't.
Well,
important
you should
to me.
appreciate it.
I don't appreciate it. You're messy. You can be also nasty.
No, I was.
with all your burping.
This woman just told me it's
Shut up.
okay
I
to
don't
be
give a shit.
messy.
I don't give a fuck about this bitch. Go ahead.
Don't call her a bitch. You don't
I
know
will
her.
I call everybody a bitch. I call you a bitch. It's a term of endearment.
Well, I didn't like her.
You didn't like being called a bitch?
I didn't like her.
Well, she's a real bitch. No?
Moral luck.
Okay.
Two people have the same intention, then there is a different outcome,
Right.
and that is a morally, ethically relevant outcome. And then, well, they get lucky because one of the outcomes is morally bad, and
And the
another
other
one is morally good.
Yeah. How do we consider that person who was like? Do we ascribe blame? And when we think of moral luck, for example, there's the common one with the drunk drivers, right?
Yes.
One of them hits a child, the other one doesn't because no child ran into the road, right? Both of them have done something that is considered unacceptable in society, but one of them was unfortunately unlucky,
Yep.
right?
I mean, the reality, what is the question about the reality? Because the reality is that we punish
yeah.
the unfortunate person,
Mhm.
and that's like a part of our legal system.
I was thinking about that scenario. And do we punish the child as well?
They're dead. This thought experiment, they're dead.
Is that punishment enough?
Well, they go to hell.
I withdraw. Is punishment enough?
They go to hell
Why?
because, well, the
Children are pure.
Who the fuck said that? Children are not pure.
They're pure.
Okay, I'll add it to my to the list of controversial opinions.
Children are pure.
Coming up, not pure.
Oh, no.
Children shit a lot.
What? Moral luck.
Moral.
Yeah, we punish this person who has been.
But I personally, I try to judge based on the intent because
It's an interesting thing to say because intent is something that is internal. And
Yes.
our understanding of intent is usually based on what we are told by the person, the bearer of this intent, right? The thing with that is that people lie.
and I agree.
So, judging based on intent is just not solid enough. If you want to have a system of justice in a society,
Yeah, but I was talking about myself. So, talking about myself, yeah, there is a lack of information. And that's why I agree that, like, I think this is like a very, we're evolutionary inclined to judge based on outcomes. And
Right.
that's reasonable from the perspective of the lack of information. We just don't have, I don't know, a truth detector that allows us to check, to verify what the intent was. And also, like in this example, for instance, we just can't catch this guy. We can't catch all drunk drivers. It's just like not feasible technically. But like when it comes to me and my like life and my decisions, if I can figure out the intent, this is what I will pay attention to. But there are like basically two dimensions here. First, intent. I want to know if the person wanted to do something that I don't like. Second, whether they are smart or not, because maybe they didn't want me harm, but they're just not very smart and they just did harm anyway. But usually what matters is the intent. Sometimes not being smart also matters.
so then do you punish intent to cause harm that didn't cause harm? Because harm is only like
Can you repeat, please?
harm
I've had
becomes
one drink.
harm. You've had one drink?
Yeah.
Okay. Harm becomes harm when it's felt, right?
Okay.
So, do you punish intent to cause harm
Yes.
without the harm being caused? So if, for example, a stalker whose prey is never made aware of their stalking,
Okay.
right? And this person follows this woman, takes pictures of her naked, does all these things, creeping on her, etc. But she never knows about this. Do we punish him? Because she has not been harmed.
Yes.
Why? Because we just punish. So then,
Well, it's illegal.
we're
Like, it
punishing
violates
his.
data privacy laws.
No, but if she doesn't know.
Data privacy. Just privacy.
Yeah, I think it's based on what you've been.
I've been
observing.
reading
Yeah.
about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, if she doesn't know, we're punishing his thinking.
We are punishing his action because it's illegal to take
It's illegal
photos,
because it's harmful. It's possible to be harmful to people, right?
but we ban the action.
Why do we ban the action?
We
That's
ban
a
the
good
action
question.
because it causes harm.
But
in
the harm
most
is not
cases.
felt in some
In this
cases.
particular case. But okay, we set rules, right? And then we say, okay, in 99% of cases or 95% cases, this leads to some harm. And then we punish basically based on this probability.
So we punish anything that could lead to this harm.
Well,
It's a
anything
slippery
that's
slope.
not could, but likely lead to
It's a difference.
significant harm. And it's not necessary. There
I'm
is
not
no
against
reason
it.
for you
I'm
to
not
do it.
against it. I'm just saying that it could be a slippery slope. I do think that. I think like if you, I can be very extreme on it. Like
I don't. Okay, now you have controversial opinions. Tell me.
no, like I think that you know how I feel about priests. I'm using
do
priest
I?
instead of the other word, which is
You don't want
what's number one on my list of immoral things.
coaches, motivational coaches.
That's not number one.
Oh, it's not. Oh, rapist?
No.
I don't know.
What type of rapists?
Molesters?
Which type?
Child molestation?
Okay.
Okay.
Priests.
I feel this is controversial.
It is. I know. Yeah, no offense to the Catholics out there, but if you have something like this repeated
Oh, wait.
over and over again,
Do only Catholics have priests?
what? No. But
So why did you say Catholics?
Because Catholic priests are the one that have been touching
The most
children.
rapey?
Yes. But if you have
Controversial.
thousands of cases, I think that it becomes an attribute.
This is controversial.
Yeah, but what my point was just like, I think if you find someone even just like thinking about, if you find out that someone is just
No.
considered it. But this is for this case only. Like that's why I say I can go extreme. Like if someone even mentions it to me,
As a joke.
you're on my watch list. Not
okay,
you,
more
But
responsibility.
if
then.
anyone says, okay,
If anyone
but,
asks,
no, but I want us to go
you
to
made that joke.
I want to go to another thing about moral responsibility. Is it possible to separate like just some people being morally responsible for something and then for that thing being worthy of judgment?
Is it possible to separate between them
Yes.
responsible? and
Yes,
being
to say
worth
like you are responsible for this, but let's not pass moral judgment on it as good or bad.
Well, I can give you an example. Like a politician or a manager, they can sometimes they can be fired for something they're, how do you call them? Not superiors, opposites of superiors.
If you
And people who work for them, something they do, they don't have any reasonable control over it. They get fired because they are responsible for the entire organization. Politicians, same thing. You don't really have any kind of control. You couldn't.
yeah, that's what
No
I'm
one
talking
blames
about.
you
Does it-
morally, but
No,
you're
but that's
responsible.
judgment. That's like if
No.
you get fired, they're being punished for it.
They've been
Isn't that
punished, but it's
judgment?
like a responsibility. But no one has this, moral judgment of that
What are you
person.
talking about? Well, then why are we punishing them if we haven't passed judgment?
Well,
on them?
because that's how we motivate managers to work better. That's
So
how
we are
motivate.
judging them. There is judgment.
No, but this is different.
How
This
so?
responsibility versus like basically guilt.
No, but
in
the
this
exp-
case.
the ex-
okay,
the-
moral guilt.
How do we know if they feel guilt or not? That's a
No.
different thing.
There, do people find them guilty morally?
If we're punishing them, if we're passing punishment, then we have found them guilty.
No, there is a difference
I
between
don't s-
responsible and find.
No, but
someone
what is the
responsible
point?
moral-
So it's
morally
but if you
guilty.
find someone, I agree that there's a difference. But I'm saying based on your example, if they have been fired or they have been forced to resign, then we have not only found them morally responsible, we've also passed moral judgment on them because we have punished them. We don't punish if we don't find guilty, right?
Not really. I
What?
mean, okay, personally, like I see someone, a politician, I don't know, his government fucked up or her fucked up.
Sexist.
There was, and he has to resign or her.
There's something so like they.
Right, I know. And I do not blame them personally. Sometimes I do, but
You're
depends on
talking
the
about
situation.
you personally.
I'm not only me. I think that's how most people operate. You know that there is no way in this particular case, in some cases, that they could have predicted that. Shit just happens, like a terrorist attack. I mean, it just happens sometimes. Sometimes you can mitigate damage.
We can use something current, like Biden and Gaza or Israel or whatever.
Okay.
Biden is not responsible even for what's happening in Israel, but a lot of people have made him responsible for it morally and say, like, the blood is on your hands because America is supplying Israel weapons. The US couldn't have anticipated October, maybe they did, but I don't know. But they couldn't have anticipated October 7th and then anticipated the response from Israel in Gaza. So Biden really couldn't have done anything to this. But meanwhile, in the US, for a lot of young people, because US is sending Israel weapons, which is a long-standing policy before even Biden came. Huh?
Age. That's the problem.
Shut up. A long-standing policy before even Biden came in. But Biden is responsible because he's sitting there at that point. And not only is he responsible, he has been called bad. He has been called complicit in all of this. And they've passed judgment on him. And their punishment is to not vote for him.
But this is, I mean, still, even with these people now, but even in that case, I still feel like emotionally, those people, they see the difference between actually killing a person with your bare hands or not supplying weapons in this political situation.
I honestly don't think they do. I think that people don't. I really don't.
No, wait, their punishment, not punishment, their action point is not to vote for him. Do they say that he has to be put in prison?
Well, because he's not like. Well, actually, they call him Genocide Joe, and a lot of people are saying that he has to stand in front of the Hague to answer for the crimes of Israel. So yes, there are people who are saying.
Oh, there are always people, but I think it's not common.
I think that it's not. I don't. I think that it's possible to assign responsibility to someone without passing judgment. But I think that the examples you gave are not great examples of that. Number one, and I don't think that happens on a scale of like management.
Give me an example.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like someone is stealing, we can say it's bad, but not send them to prison because we understand that they are in a situation where in a society or in a community where they lack, they're poor, and so their circumstance made them consider stealing. And nevertheless, we can say they decided to steal. And we can have a debate on how much, like if it is their decision, but they decided to steal. So we can decide you are morally responsible for this thing. This is something that you did, you stole. But we're not going to punish you because we understand the circumstances that led you to stealing.
There is another thing I want to discuss.
Okay, let's go to it before we finish.
Right.
Because we have several minutes, like maybe 2 minutes.
A big thing in this entire discussion, why I don't know, the biggest thing is about retribution for me.
Okay.
The biggest consequence of the absence of free will, the way I define it, is just we can still punish people. It's just we punish them from a different perspective. We just basically we don't use this retribution like as an emotion. We don't have this feeling, moral anger, indignation. I don't know how it's called. And otherwise, you can still hold people accountable. You can still, and I think the best kind of analogy that you can give here is a quarantine. Like when when people get sick and maybe they don't want to isolate, we can enforce them to isolate, but we don't blame them for that.
Why do you call it retribution instead of just like correction? Most of the punishment.
Well, the thing is that people feel the need for retribution, and that's how people justify punishment partially.
Okay, I agree with you. I think so.
And I just want to get rid of that feeling because sometimes
it's hard to get rid of that.
I think that's how people are, like, naturally, if you will, inclined to feel. So, but I just want to get rid of that. Otherwise, we can still punish people because we still need to
create
isolate
values.
people. We need to maintain a society, a functional society, and sometimes even we need to give an example, maybe.
Yeah.
But this is gray area for me. So, but this is the biggest thing for me. Otherwise, I don't really see a problem with the idea of the absence of free will in the context of criminal responsibility.
I agree with you.
You just want to end it?
No, I do. we have basically the same view here. We just argue for argument's sake.
Oh, we didn't. We barely argued.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we do. Bye.
Bye.